This story is called Those Were the Days of Thin. She hated the fact that other women became obsessed with their own anatomical flaws when they looked at her, especially their stomachs. On account of her tight six-pack, she was labeled sexy to the opposite sex, but threatening to her own. She was grieved beyond belief. How intimidating to be perceived as having the perfect abdomen but never enjoy it. Her midriff had caused her female contenders to become victims of inscrutable evaluations of their own waistlines. She was resigned to the fact that they hated her because of their own fat stomachs. On account of the scrutiny, they were miserably trapped by an endless quest for a better belly. Somehow being paunched in the midsection was irrationally lamentable. What on earth could be done to avert their attention away from their own detestation of a pot belly? This aversion to their breadbasket amounted to abhorrence. Repugnance had to stop. But how? If only, she thought. If only she had been born in another place and time. Something radical needed to happen to circumvent how ludicrous this was. What could obliterate the standard of comparison? How long would she be forced to bear up under the sting of their disdain? What would it take to disallow the harassment of others and eliminate the threat she projected? "I know," she exclaimed sarcastically. "The good old days of corsets should be reinstituted. Their self-inflicted containment used to level the playing field and further feminine unification every time it was worn. Ponder its benefits," she went on with irony. "In spite of its outrageous discomfort while wearing it, women became damn near comfortable with one another. It provided solidarity. Sisters could unite under the guise of seeking perfectionism. It was beauty's great equalizer, pushing us all up and out toward a new level of exhibition. We could all collaborate in our misery with one accord and suffer together for the ideal waistline." "Consider the plight of the slight," she taunted comically. They endeavored to undertake a praiseworthy pursuit to attract male adoration. They ventured to commit themselves to endure the pain of suffocation. Rarely did they have enough bosoms to push up and out, but a gallant attempt in a corset was tackled. Although their waistlines were already envied, they also sought to be 10 times smaller. They wasted away in an effort to be fatally attractive and ensure a worthy estimate of their beauty. The status of the obese was equally lacking, she continued to tease. They felt inferior while embarking upon the same pursuit of a man's applause. They obligated themselves to seek a man's approval by vowing to grimace under its duress. Although they had breasts that pushed up with abundance to be revered, their stomachs were sucked in till they were faint. They tucked and tucked till they could barely breathe in a gallant effort to denounce their fat entirely. Mockingly, she continued, "The stout and the lean were in it together, seeking to survive the menacing perils of the corset while pursuing the true admirer. You decide, was this persecution the lesser of two evils? It seemed there were two options. Option A, wear the damn thing, pulling tight on its strings until you allure male attraction. Option B, let it all hang out, thereby avoiding tantalizing the opposite sex entirely. See what I mean?" she asked with satire in her voice. The corset may have been a part of the days of old, but it offered consolation. Misery loves company. Perhaps forfeiting its existence threatens to jeopardize all hope of eliminating prejudice toward one another entirely. The reemergence of the corset must be reconsidered. It would greatly minimize our propensity toward collective bias. In short, she said, scoffing, women are well advised to remember that sucking it in with the tuck of a few tight strings had its advantages, she mimicked. However, if letting it all hang out seems more advantageous, by all means, let your belly breathe. Stop sucking it in, thereby setting a new precedent amongst ourselves for female compatibility. We women must unite and agree to congratulate each of our imperfect figures with accolades and applause. Come to think of it, who needs a fucking corset to begin with?" she taunted. Or a man, for that matter, she challenged. Change your mind, she said rebelliously. What's a little belly fat anyway, she jeered, thereby avoiding their further intimidation almost entirely. Those were the days of then, sung to the tune of Those Were the Days. Once upon a time there was a corset, a tiny piece to help gals fit in things, and 10 times smaller never was a problem, until you went and pulled those little strings. And then your boobs bunched up and burst outside each cup, and you were bound forever and a day. You kept on pulling tight till you weren't breathing right, and suffocated till you'd waste away. Still the problem was each time you stood up, said you just felt faint when you're awake. As you sat and fanned away the hours, you served yourself another piece of cake. You didn't see that one, now look what you have done with distributions collected on your can. The moral choice was tough, you sucked in all your stuff. You need a man? Ain't there another plan? So you rebelled and you took off your corset, decided to step out just as you were. The secret that you learned is when you force it, you're squeezing out the parts that men prefer. Those were the days of then, when women sucked it in. We freely let it all hang out today. We've let our corsets go, stop sucking in, although one thing still sucks, that's knowing what you weigh.